Hi everyone, thanks for joining me on my channel, Fleeting Beauty by Simply Kim. As you know, my channel focuses on health and beauty and fitness and peace. And today I'm going to be talking to you guys about something related to health and nutrition specifically. I just wanted to share something with you guys. I think it might be an interesting fact that some of you may or may not know about. So hold on to your seats. I'm going to tell you guys something that might be a little surprising. So stay tuned. Today, as I mentioned, I'm going to be talking to you guys about something that has to do with health and nutrition and weight loss. Okay, so I personally am one of those typical women. I'm 51, so my weight has been all over the place all of my life. And today is no different. I still struggle of going up and down and all over the place with my weight. I've been on every diet known to man, probably. Ones that cost nothing and ones that cost me way too much. And typically I found that your body just has a set weight and it just doesn't want to fluctuate sometimes unless you really go out of the box and do something drastic, especially once you get to like your later 30s and 40s and 50s like me. But one thing that I discovered along the way of me doing my own kind of research on weight loss and learning a really important factor, which is that weight loss is about 80% of what you eat, more so than the working out itself. So I've been doing a lot of research on this, so I could go into a lot of different things. But the thing that I want to talk to you specifically about today, I want to talk to you a little bit about soy and just various products that you might find it in that you don't even know about. I want to talk to you guys about where it came from, how it even got to America in the first place. This is not like something that we started off with. This is something that we caught on to at a certain point here in America. So anyway, so I know what I'm about to share is not going to be great news, but here we go. So let's see, a little bit about soy and its origination. So it comes from Southeast Asia and it spread to other Asian countries from there. Soy sauce was loved in Europe first, you guys. So it was in the British colonies before it actually came to America in the form of soybean seeds, specifically in like 1851. Farmers were using it at first, and then it wasn't until 1904 that George Washington Carver discovered that soybeans were a great and valuable resource for oil, protein, and preserving soil. By 1935, Henry Ford's labs were turning soybeans into plastic knobs for cars, horn buttons, window frames, accelerator pedals, light switch assemblies, and so on and so on. Ignition casings, all this kind of stuff was happening. This is from the soybean, okay? This thing is taking off. So right now we got oil, we got protein, we've got soil preservation, and we got car parts. This is all coming from the soybean, okay? So about World War II put a halt to all of it. You know, everything that was going on, our main supplier, China, we weren't getting it anymore. So by 1940, American farmers began farming soybeans to keep up with the high demand for oils and lubricants, plastics, and other products. Soy meal was in high demand across the country in the 1950s when there was this prosperity boom. Like everybody had money, people were consuming meat like crazy. Turkey, hogs, and cattle were being fed diets containing tens of millions of tons of soybean meal each year, and it continues today. As we know, we have mass production of beef and chicken and all sorts of stuff that we eat. When you go to Burger King, when you go to McDonald's, when you go to any fast food place, when you go to a regular place like Chili's or any place, you're eating those mass-produced chickens and stuff. So just FYI, we gotta feed them. So let's go back to 1996. This is when our country was introduced to the first genetically modified soybean. Soybeans are the #1 genetically modified crop in the world. And you might be asking yourself why. I know I was asking myself why. Well, genetically engineered soybeans had their DNA altered because they needed to be able to withstand the herbicides, aka weed killer, Roundup, which was used by farmers to kill the weeds in the soybean crops. So according to USDA, by 2008, 92% of soybeans planted in the US were GMO varieties. So that's why. The reason why soy is actually kind of like bad for us is because of the process they go through, that farmers take them through in order to grow them. Okay? So while we're preserving the soybean, we're not thinking about how that soybean is being affected chemically, which is going to be later consumed by human beings. So why should we care about GMO foods? Well, one specific concern is the possibility for GMOs to negatively affect human health, of course. This could result from differences in nutritional content, allergic response, or undesired side effects such as toxicity, organ damage, gene transfer, and even cancer, I'm afraid. And this is according to the Non-GMO project. There's a website, you can go visit it and check out this information yourself. So to be fair, let's look at the pros and the cons of soy for consumption. So pro number one would be soybeans are about 18% oil and 38% protein. The majority of their use is mostly for making soybean oil and meal for livestock for feed. Okay, so it's great for the animals. This is good. This is good. Pro number two is soy is very high in protein, as we said. You'll see it often in diet protein shakes and bars and supplements. Of course, we've seen that. If you look at the back of the package, the front of the package is going to say, oh, it's got 12 grams of protein or 20 grams of protein. You're like, oh yes, let's get this. But when you look over on the other side, you'll see the source of the protein, and more than likely it's going to be soy. So pro number 3, you can buy non-GMO soy. Those products include, like tofu. You just have to get used to looking at the labels and reading. If it says non-GMO, it's probably a safe bet for you to eat it. Probably, depending on how you look at things. So, however, non-GMO mass production of soy foods is just not as easily found. I'll just put it that way. So, I've given you guys the pros. There's 3 of them. Let's move on. We've got some cons to talk about with soy. So, con number 1 for soy would be, this is an unfortunate one. Soy, when you digest soy, it contains an estrogen-like compound called isoflavones. And isoflavones are bad because they can have a possibility of having certain kind of side effects from it. And one of those would be it could promote the growth of some cancer cells. Very negative, not much more to say there. Number 2, it can impair female fertility. And number 3, it can disrupt hormone balance and thyroid function. That third one is a really big one, especially for women who are trying to lose weight. Number 4, soy is rumored to cause, and listen to this, mothers of sons who are young, soy is rumored to cause breast development in young boys because, again, it mimics estrogen. It mimics the activity of the female hormone, like I said, estrogen in the body. Number 5, soy can cause neurological disorders due to hexane. Now, hexane, you may have never heard of it. I hadn't heard of it until I was doing some of my research. It's a solution used to extract oil from the soybeans. As we mentioned, George Washington Carver had this discovery that soybeans were a good resource for oil, and they are, and oil, is used for so many things, and Whew. Soybean oil is used for a lot of different things. And sometimes we'll be thinking we're having this great oil option. When we see vegetable oil, we're like, ooh, it's vegetable oil. It's vegetable oil, but if you look at the back of the label, more than likely the vegetable that they're using is soybean oil. And it might be mixed with some other stuff, but if there's soybean oil in it, I just say don't do it. So, okay, so I've gone through 5 cons. I am now on the 6th con, which is like the most significant con, which is why I even made this video in the first place. Number 6 is soy can cause weight gain. Yeah, soy can cause weight gain, and it's still for the same reason that I mentioned before. But if you don't believe me, I'm going to let someone else tell you. So, I know that you all have probably seen the movie The Help. Okay. The Help was this cool movie. Google it. Go find it on Netflix. It's out there. But it's probably 5 or 6 years old, and it's about this woman, this white woman back in, I think, like the 50s or 60s, who ends up writing, I think it's probably the early 60s, who ends up writing a book based on these black women who were maids in households back then, who were totally mistreated by their bosses, you know, the families that had them cleaning their houses, taking care of their kids and all that stuff, but they wouldn't even let them use the bathroom inside. They had to use the outhouse. It was just such a mess. And so anyway, she ends up writing this book by interviewing them and telling their stories, and one of the women that she interviewed was a woman by the name of Celia. That was her character name, and Celia was kind of a unique person. She wasn't like the other families or the other wives. She actually was very nice, and she actually was kind of like this ditzier character in the movie. She actually didn't have any children, but anyway, she was married to a man, and she was ditzy, like I said, and she really didn't know how to cook or clean or anything, and so her husband would go off to work, and so she hired a maid specifically to come in and clean and cook and pretend like she had done it. So when her husband got home, he had like fried chicken and all this stuff that she had never been able to make before. It was really kind of comical. But as I said, she's kind of this ditzy kind of Marilyn Monroe type in the movie. And so the actress who played her name is Jessica Chastain, and she is a very thin woman. I guess she was like a vegan. And so the producers of the movie are like, you know what, you need to gain some weight. You can't play this voluptuous kind of ditzy character in the movie unless you can gain some weight. She had some trouble gaining the weight, okay, because she's thin. Her body's like, what's happening? So in order for her to play this Marilyn Monroe-esque type character, Celia, in the movie, this is what the actress says to E! News. I had to be soft and curvy, so I ate a lot of soy. Soy helps you become curvy because it has estrogen in it. Okay, I didn't say it. Jessica Chastain said it, okay? Look it up yourself. So here we go again. It's that estrogen. Now she's almost right. It has a compound in it called isoflavin, like I said, that mimics estrogen, but it really isn't. So your body is translating soy in your body as estrogen, which we know produces man breasts in boys, according to research. It can definitely trigger your hormones being thrown off. And there's lots of hormones that tell your body, hey, I'm hungry. Hey, I'm satisfied. That stuff gets all out of whack. So when you're really full, your body's saying, I'm hungry. And when you're really full, your body's saying, no, I'm not full yet. I mean, so you're just like, your body is just not in sync the way that it should be because it thinks that there's estrogen in it. And I am not a doctor. I don't play one on television. I'm just telling you what I've researched. So my own personal experience with soy is that I swell up like a blowfish from the top of my head to the soles of my feet, well, mostly around my waist and everything. But I definitely will experience a lot of bloating whenever I eat soy. And I didn't really figure this out until some years later, and just kind of watching what I ate and noticing, you know, everyone kind of does that where you stop eating certain things and then you try to bring those things back into your diet again and see how your body reacts. Well, soy has always been an issue with me. I've always had a sensitivity to corn, which is often genetically modified as well. And then gluten has also been an issue for me for probably over half of my life. So I've recognized the difference of when I have soy products. It's so unfortunate because I happen to love Chinese food. So I'm just going to give you a list of foods that you can try to avoid that I know for sure are either soy products or have soy in them in some way, shape, or form. So edamame, I'm just going to go down my list. Miso, natto, soy sauce, obviously. Soy-based fiber, soy-based flour, grits, nuts or sprouts, soy-based milk, yogurt, ice cream or cheese, soy protein, tamari, tempeh, textured vegetable protein, and tofu. You will find soy in baked goods like breads and cookies and crackers, in canned broth and soup, canned tuna and meat. If you look at the back of a tuna fish can that says it's in oil, more than likely it's soybean oil. It's not olive oil. You got to find the can that says olive oil. Cereals, high protein energy bars and snacks, infant formula, low fat peanut butter, processed meats like deli meats, vegetable oil, like I told you, it's probably soybean oil, and Worcestershire sauce. And I can't say that very well, sorry. So I have 3 recommendations for you, and the last one of these is the most important one, so stick around. So these are recommendations that I recommend that you utilize to avoid soy altogether, and even getting it accidentally. Really, these are just major things that you can keep in mind when you're thinking about consuming food, which we all love to do. So number 1 is to avoid Asian restaurants. Why? Because there's cross-contamination galore. You know, one of the main ingredients in Asian food is soy. I mean, it's just constantly used. And I've been to Chinese restaurants where I have said to them, please don't give me any food that has soy sauce in it. Ha! Yes. So they say, oh, as long as you avoid any of the foods that have a darker sauce. The white sauce doesn't have soy sauce. Ah, okay. I'm like, okay, great. But don't you know that even though you might tell them that, it's up to that chef back there to honor what you've said, to go back there and give you a fresh pan to use to make your food, or whatever utensils they have, whatever things that they're using to toss the food around. All that stuff has got to be fresh, clean, whatever. Otherwise, there's cross-contamination. So instead of risking it, I just recommend avoiding Asian restaurants. Make your own food at home if you like Asian food. So, number 2, watch your love of chocolate. I love chocolate. I was at Whole Foods today and I was looking at the chocolate. And they couldn't give me any chocolate that didn't have soy in it. Yes, there is soy in chocolate bars constantly. Any chocolate candy probably has soy in it. And the reason why is that there's soy lecithin in it. And there's something inside chocolate bars that is called soy lecithin. And soy lecithin is what is called an emulsifier. An emulsifier is like a process that makes things mix together that wouldn't ordinarily. Like if you had oil and water, it's always going to separate. But if you add an emulsifier, it's going to cause those things to bind together. So that's what's inside chocolate. If you think about chocolate being this nice solid bar, without that emulsifier, it wouldn't be this nice firm chocolate bar that you're used to having. So watch out for soy lecithin in your chocolate candies because it's usually there. So I suggest trying to look at the packaging for your favorite chocolate candy, and if it says soy lecithin, I would avoid it. But you can find chocolate candies that are probably in certain health food sections that has an emulsifier because it's needed to bind everything together. But there are other emulsifiers that candy makers use, such as sunflower as an emulsifier. So look for sunflower lecithin when you're looking at those labels. So that's number 2. Number 3, the biggest one. My biggest recommendation to everyone is to get out your glasses if you need them. When you're at the grocery store, you gotta read. Start reading these labels. Labels. Find the label. Find the ingredients on everything and read. It's so important because soy is in everything. It's almost in everything. It's like the hardest ingredient to get away from. That and gluten and wheat. But soy is a big one. And nowadays on nutrition labels, everyone has to have the allergens listed. And soy is definitely an allergen, along with milk and corn and wheat and gluten and fish and nuts. And there's just such a long line of everything that everybody's allergic to. And to be quite honest with you, I really feel like it's not the product, it's the way that we've treated the product these days, because we want to do everything so fast and we want everything to be like mass produced. So these farmers are just like trying to keep up with the demand, and they're doing just some weird genetically modifying things to everything, and so our bodies are all out of whack. But number 3, I'm sorry, I digress. Number 3 is read the labels. They have to list what's inside, what they're feeding you. So read the label. If you see anything that says something about some soy, and here's the catch, it might not say soy sometimes. People are sneaky because they know. They might call it something else. So I'm going to give you just a brief list of the other things that you can look out for, just so that you don't accidentally consume soy because it didn't say SOY on the label. But I think legally they're supposed to, but sometimes I think that there's loopholes. The FDA like has all these loopholes all the time. So here are some things that you might see instead on those labels. So glycine max, hydrolyzed vegetable protein, HVP, also known as monodiglyceride, monosodium glutamate, also known as I'll kill you, MSG. Watch out for MSG, and MSG will make you fat. And I am hoping that I can find this picture of these lab rats. One had MSG and one didn't, and enough said, a picture is worth 1,000 words. Hopefully I'm going to put that somewhere up on the screen for you. So those are the things you can kind of look out for that might, and I'll put those down below so you can look out for those sneaky little terms that mean soy, so that you don't accidentally consume it because it didn't say soy on the label. So I will say I loved soy sauce forever. I love Chinese food. My mother, I believe, got me hooked on Chinese food when I was probably 3 years old. We used to go to the farmer's market in Ann Arbor, and I could smell the soy sauce from way down the sidewalk, and we would have egg rolls. So I love Chinese food. So I've always loved Chinese food, and I was so happy to be able to discover like a way of having the flavor of soy sauce without actually jeopardizing my body, with these estrogen-like compounds and things that would cause me to gain weight. So one thing that I discovered was alternatives, and there are alternatives that you can buy at the store that are not made from soybean but are made from other products that are actually more healthy for you. So one thing that I did find, a product, is called something called Secret Coconut Aminos. So it's like coconut aminos, and it's made by Coconut Secret. And I have a bottle here, and you can see I'm using a lot of it. And it looks just like soy sauce. It kind of smells like soy sauce, but it definitely has the flavor of soy sauce, yet it's a lot lower in sodium. I know that you guys probably know that soy sauce is is so salty, which is part of the reason why it tastes so good. But this product actually has like 73% less sodium than soy sauce. So it's already healthier. It's got the amino acids, which is actually good for your gut health as well. So it's definitely worth trying. It's a lot healthier. Coconut is also said to be like really healthy for your body as well. So you're getting all of that in a product that tastes like soy sauce without being unhealthy for you. Another one is it's another kind of soy sauce substitute is Bragg's organic coconut aminos. So it's another brand, but it's basically the same thing, but it's an all-purpose seasoning soy substitute. It's made from organic coconut blossom nectar, distilled water, organic apple cider vinegar, which we also know is really good, and it's made by Bragg's. That one same company makes both of these products, and so it's well trusted and really good. And then it's got some sea salt in it, so it's not like the really bad iodinized whatever salt that we normally would get when we go to our average restaurant. So those are like the two products that I would recommend purchasing if you still just want to have that taste of soy sauce without all the bad stuff. So that's about it, you guys. I hope that you got something out of it. If you're interested in purchasing either of those products, I know that you can get them at Whole Foods or Better Health Food stores, and I'm sure they probably have them like in Kroger's and every place else like that. But I usually just order my stuff on Amazon. So if you're interested in just doing it quick and having it shipped right to your door without having to go out, you can do that by hitting a couple of those links that I posted down below on Amazon.com. So thank you so much for hanging in there with me. I know that soy is like in everything, so we have to be really, really smart about trying to get around it because it's really not healthy for us, especially not healthy for young boys. So, but anyway, if you have any questions or any comments, please post them in the comment box below. If you like the video, if you got anything out of it, just hit the like button. Please subscribe. I'll be doing more kind of like health and nutrition, dietary stuff to share with you guys later on in other videos. So definitely subscribe so that you get an alert. And please let me know what you thought. So hopefully if you're interested in learning more about health or nutrition, especially stuff like, what's good for you, what's bad for you, that you probably didn't even know that you were eating all the time, that maybe you just didn't know about it. That's the kind of stuff that I like to share with people because I think they're like, what? And then I try to break it down and let them know, I'm not just pulling this out of nowhere. It's true. So, but if you want to see more videos like this one, please subscribe to my channel, click the alert bell so that you are alerted every time I post something. And I hope to see you guys in the next video. All right, thanks for visiting my channel, Fleeting Beauty by Simply Kim, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.